And we're recording.
I got drawers in this.
We're recording live.
Audio. Well, what day is it? What time is it? Because we were just talking about that before.
We're talking about that because there's a full moon. And as Skull may have mentioned once before, by the way, I'm Jay. And so, anyway, what were we talking about? So we were just discussing that it's going to be a full moon. And Skull, and I think I've been convinced as far as like terminology and putting that all together. I just had like this experience that it doesn't matter. Time is whatever.
Right. We have a 12-hour clock.
So we are discussing whether like right now between 7 or 8 a.m. is still the night of so say right now it's 12:42 a.m.
Right,
do we
it's still the night.
consider
It's still Sunday night.
You know, right after midnight, I would still consider this. So by the way, my clock says Monday, July 3rd, 12:43 a.m. But
this is
Skull and I would that was perfect. This is Skull and I. Anyway, Skull and I would call that the night of Sunday, July 2nd.
Yeah.
12:43.
Right.
So like where I guess people can call their nights something different. Some people work night shift.
If you hear
what is their night?
Are we only posting on YouTube? Do you know what's the name on that? Should we talk about that just if other people hear this somehow, some way?
Republic Today, republictoday.net.
Is that what the YouTube is?
That's what
excuse me.
Dear Skull here has been saying. It's on YouTube. We're only on youtube.com.
What's the name of the channel?
Yeah, should I look that up, everybody? No, I can't because I have to log back in.
Oh, okay. So we're using Zoom software right now?
Yeah, and that's why everybody can see my real name.
Oh, yeah. Jay. Right. Okay. So I used to be like, this is Republic Today, republictoday.net. Okay. I'm podcasting from the Pacific Northwest, the PN Dub. It is Sunday, July 2nd, 12:44 a.m. So what day do you think? So our listeners, that is confusing. Okay, I'm going to speak over it's Sunday night, 12:44 at night. The wee hours, the 0 hour. We're in the 0 hour Sunday night.
Correct. Okay, so what I was going to say was that I was going to speak over Skull here and move the microphone closer because every time he talks on our digital recording here, I just get overpowered. My little voice just is swallowed up in this man's voice on this recording, and specifically because we're using Zoom, not an advertisement. We're not getting paid for this. And anyway, I wanted to say we could do like a formal introduction. Obviously, on my Zoom video here, it says Mitch Boofink, they, them, theirs. So that's my name. But I go by Jay on here, and my pronouns are they, them, theirs. And so we've got Skull here. What pronouns do you use?
She, her. I don't really use she, her. It's weird. It's because the question is more like, what pronouns would you like people to use for you?
Right. But you aren't like telling a story about yourself in third person or like writing about yourself in third person. What would you use?
No, I mean, I don't write about myself. If I'm telling a story about myself, I'm saying I and me and stuff, but that's not a gendered pronoun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't tell a story about myself in the third person. No.
Okay. Not even with writing.
I may have done a creative writing project in high school or something.
How do you do your like biography or artist statement?
Okay. And then it would be he, him.
Right. Okay. Yeah. As an artist, what would you do?
You're right. Yeah, I guess he, him is the way I would do that right now.
Okay. Okay. And that's like your preferred of how other people would address you as well or think of you.
That is how
Because
other people think of me.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Touche, motherfucker.
But so it's like, yeah, but I also do identify as a man. That's
Right.
different than pronouns.
Right. So that would be like people would feel inclined to call me she, her, hers. And
People
that's not
do
how
feel
I
inclined to do
identify.
that. Yeah.
That's not how I identify.
Right.
So I'm already being like jabbed every time. Like, oh yeah, she, oh yeah, her,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
No, I know.
Who are you talking about? But also like, I don't know. Sometimes I will admit I do assume, but I try to backtrack. And I'm like, I shouldn't assume. And
I think of gender identity and pronouns as two different things now. I mean, or this conversation has made me think of that.
that you
Just
don't
the
think
idea.
about the two?
Well, just that the fact of the matter is people use he, him pronouns for me.
So
I also identify as a man, so it's not inappropriate.
it's never something that you've thought about yourself. Like you haven't questioned your gender identity or pronouns.
Well, but the
So, like,
pronouns I'm kind of questioning
the things. Oh, tell me more.
because we've talked about this in the past, obviously not
Yes.
on the podcast.
Correct.
And it was more of like getting to know you conversation stuff. So I don't know, the better part of a year ago, right? Is that how the better part works? I've been thinking about that too.
Meaning most of the
Most of a year ago, right?
yeah, between
7 months
50
ago we
and
talked about
90%
this.
or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So that that much time ago we
That
talked about this.
has a calculation somehow.
Because it's not important to me
Okay.
that I identify as a man, and it doesn't feel like or that people use he him pronouns is the thing. Like it's just kind of the fact of the matter for both of those things, but like I think the world would be a better place if we got rid of gendered pronouns. And
Yes.
I'm not like I never liked they them because it sounds like someone's trying to be
In
more than
English.
one person. Yeah, it's a very specific to
Right.
English and like American English and
And
whatever.
the way that a lot of languages are framed too, they're gendered.
A lot of languages are gendered.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of thinking about the devil's English in this instance. You know, we've both been cursed with this language.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is what we're talking about. And that like I wish for referring to just a person, there wasn't that identifier. It's like it makes it so much easier to communicate, but it also enforces this binary.
Right.
And it would be
So
great to
have a
get rid of the
singular.
social binary. And so we use they them. I mean that's what has been decided.
Yeah.
But it just that has problems, is not perfect.
I agree.
Throwing X's on the end of things. And we can have a whole conversation about
Espanol.
you know,
Is that what you're talking about?
right.
Even in English, there's still an X at the end of things. So like Mr., Miss, Mix.
But right, it's
Yeah.
pronounced MIC apostrophe S. MICK apostrophe S.
Oh, I've never heard
like
that.
mix bar. MICK
or just
apostrophe
MX.
S.
It's just MX. That's the small
But you got to get rid of the I. You got to get rid of the I.
No.
Why can't we make the pronunciation? See, okay, but this is what I'm talking about.
X.
No, there's no E. There's no vowel. Mix.
But if you're saying
Mix.
just the letter X,
Mix.
how would you say the letter X?
So what if we took, okay, so there's a prominent fast food chain called McDonald's. And their shortened is like Mickey D's, McD's. But what if you just got rid of the D?
What about it?
You call it mix, right? MIX, like what you do with a stew. Mix.
That was clever.
But that would be uppercase M, lowercase c, apostrophe, lowercase s. Mix.
No A. Right. No M-A-C.
Well, I'm talking about the prominent food chain.
Right, but if you were to only hear the name, how would you spell it? Versus if you were to only read the name, how would you say it?
Both of those would be Mick.
Because there's no
Mc.
A. And
Right.
that's what I'm referring to.
So the Protestant Scottish throw A's in that shit. MacDonald. But that's the difference between there's not a lot. I'm sure there's probably 1%.
Okay.
Irish Max, but that's a Scottish thing.
Well, there's
And
also
the Irish people are the mix and the O's. There's not Scottish O's.
Oh.
This is this tiny, this is this white ethnic shit that it's like it is
But
true.
Joe knows about.
It's true.
Sorry, Skull.
No, but it's
My bad.
Okay, but like so stuff exists. So there's two people right now in my circle, people that Jessica knows better than I know, that wear Thor's hammers. So is that like, are they just both into like Norse stuff? And like, because the one guy's he's got like the snake eating itself bracelet or whatever. He's got rune tats.
But that has nothing to do with
right. What's the difference between white pride and like knowing history of different white cultures? Or where's the line? I mean, so we had a coworker, and neither Jess nor I could remember his name when we were talking about this, but we had a coworker who I think, as it turns out, is like not racist. He, someone like an average size for a human being, so small for an American man, blonde hair or whatever, and he had tattoos on his forearms. He had a Thor's hammer with like Nordic pattern shit, and the other was a Celtic cross.
Yes.
With that similar kind of like braided looking stuff, and there were cool tats and stuff and Celtic whatever
braids.
And so those are like, that's a red flag when you have those on your forearms. That's like, oh shit, this person might be a white supremacist
and a tattoo poser, because it's probably their only tattoo.
He had a few, and I don't know. Well, Garrett, his name, I'm pretty sure was Garrett. I mean, I'm on social media with him. I'm not trying to call anybody out, by the way, and you don't know. That's a generic name, right? I'm not trying to blow anybody up. And I don't think
you could be wrong.
No, I don't think he was. I don't think that's what Jess and I were talking about. Like, I don't think he was a racist dude. I think he was just kind of like into his like tattoos and like geometric tattoos and like history and culture
and fiber,
and that might
Celtic
be his
knots,
right, and that might
fiber.
be his actual ethnic heritage too. And he's just kind of like represent. He's like, what tattoo should I get?
Right.
Well, this is in my DNA. Like, so, and that doesn't mean he thinks white people are superior to people of color, but that's the one he's got. Like, my mom was like Norwegian and my dad was Irish. Who
is predominantly getting those DNA tests though? I bet you it's fucking white people.
But America's so fucking chock full of white people. There's just tons of them here. It's still like what, 50-50 white people of color in this country.
Okay, and how many?
And by people of color, I mean all the people of color, like, and then half are just white. No, in America.
In America. Okay.
Oh, in the world, white people are minorities.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But in Europe and America, they're not the minority.
Countries are people
and Australia
of color or whatever who are not white. Are they getting DNA tests?
Are they getting DNA tests
to like show their like
that? Whatever. That's a good question. That's another. We have so many research projects.
Okay, that's a research project. Thank you for listening.
Well,
comment below, like,
there's
subscribe.
There's been some free agency movement. There's a couple days where a bunch of moves happened. Some interesting signings and stuff in terms of the NBA. I was trying to look. Yeah.
Basketball update before we sign out.
Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden I want to do sports update, but no, we talk about basketball. We talk about the NBA. on this podcast. I know I heard Jackson Hayes, who's kind of like a role player, you know, like a mid dude. So if there's 400 people who play over the course of a basketball season, there's probably about 400. There's probably 300 who have like contracts, you know, and then another 100 people probably who cycle through the system. You know, there's 30 teams, right? So that's, you know, whatever. What's 10 guys a team by 30 teams? That's 300 guys.
Correct.
And so they like right now their rosters can expand, or I don't know if it's right now, but like during the summer, up to like 20 guys. But then they go down to 15 for the regular season through the postseason. The finals being the final culmination of the postseason happening in the middle of June.
Right.
A best of 7 series of games. This past, you know, whatever last month, it was the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets.
Correct.
And Denver won.
Correct.
So a bunch of the Heat players went to other teams.
And it was a home game.
Well, they do 7-game series. And I think it goes 2-2, 1-1-1. So if you play all 7, that's how it works out.
Right. So it was a home game that they won. That Denver won.
They were in Denver.
Like it was just a little extra special is what I'm referring to.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it can happen that it's an away game and then the home fans are like, oh shit, we just lost.
Right.
And they're like sad or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
And then
so the players aren't getting that vibe, you know, and they still won.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, like, but they're on TV and stuff, and they feel that they go in the locker room,
and they're getting paid.
And it's and there's tons of champagne and cigars, right? So they're like they have champagne there. They wear
because they all just had babies.
They wear ski goggles, and shake bottles. They wear.
Yes, I saw that.
And they're like, yeah,
I saw that. But some people get so excited and they forget to put them on.
Sure, and some don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
and they're like taking their shirts off and shit. They're like, fuck it.
We're getting paid.
Well, they're getting paid no matter what. But it's that they won the game.
I know, and they can keep getting paid.
How do you feel about? But they all get to keep getting paid. If you're good enough at basketball, you're winning in life in that way financially. If you keep it together, some guys go crazy and like, oh, okay. I have some. I guess it's gossip, but it's super intense, and I think it's maybe inappropriate for this podcast. So, that was your basketball update. Yeah.
We're going to sign out. Thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. I think I asked you a question earlier.
Today. Look it up. Also, the Republic Today website is not up right now, but there's a Twitter feed. There's what else? What other social medias there? Facebook. There's a Facebook page.
We're gonna get it together.
Yes. There is Twitter. There is Facebook for Republic Today.
We'll keep you posted. All right. I'm signing out. Bye.